welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 378. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Book Insight Friday. It's time to get into it. I got two more standalone books that I got to do. And today we're going to delve into Workaholics. It's a book that, was planned for quite some time, and then I had to really go through the process of putting it all together. So we're going to delve into this book today. I'm also going to, share book chapter layout and characters and all that good stuff. I'm not going to save it for a future episode like I did for all of my other books. So let's kind of delve into this a little bit, because it's just funny how life works. Like, we go through school, college, trade school, we get a degree, we go into corporate America, and then we're told to work to get to the top of your company, make tons of money, and live the American dream. But is it really the American dream? Or are we told that from a young age, and then when we get there, we realize it's not? I would have to say it's the latter for sure. It's more of the American nightmare. And if I was to sit here and have an episode on just taxes in America, I probably could talk for a good 2 hours about how we're pretty much robbed every time we buy something, or our money is taken from us even when we work for it. But anyway, I digress. Workaholics was really a book that I had some ideas for it, but didn't know how I wanted to write the book. So the brainstorming session for it was interesting, because I wanted to craft a story that would shine light on how working until we're drained can affect us mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, even if we, have the finances and we're doing well with ourselves. Next was whether I wanted to have like one character or a few. And for me, my biggest goal was to never overdo it and to never overwrite a story. That's always been my goal. It's always to write a story that really tackles the subject, and it doesn't, overdo itself where it's like 20 pages overwritten. And it had to be clear, concise, and surely a conversation starter, because the goal of my books is to start conversations, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, healthy, or uncomfortable. And when I decided to go with two characters, I needed to tell it from a man's perspective and a woman's perspective. Now, our mindsets are all different when it comes to the work world, and depending on what we saw in our childhoods and the way we perceive the world will obviously have some semblance of an impact on how we approach corporate America. Now, the story focuses on two main characters, Gerald and Jenny. Their lives are on two different paths. Gerald works hard to own a company, and he constantly works to the point of losing his family. And Jenny is trying to climb the corporate ladder while losing her sanity and relationships with those closest to her. And it's so ironic that we as people are willing to sacrifice some of the most intimate moments with our family, friends, and significant others for the almighty dollar. Not all of us, but a lot of us. And somehow in 2020, when the world shut down, we all realized what was most important. There are still those who, choose to work for a company, not understanding and realizing that you are replaceable in a heartbeat. And trust me when I tell you, I've been working for a long time, and I started at 15. So I'm in my 40s now, and let's just say I've seen a lot, and sometimes I even know when certain things are coming. I don't know if you guys, know the story, but I used to work for the NBA store, the big one on 5th Avenue and 52nd Street, a very long time ago. Let's just say in my late 20s. And I started seasonal, part-time, then I got promoted, then I made it to full-time because I got hired during the holidays, so they kept me. And then in 6 months, I got promoted to a product specialist, and, I moved to a different department in the store, and, but I never got my pay increase. So that was concerning. I was like, okay, cool. And then I started, seeing certain things going on in the store, and managers' behaviors were changing and things were kind of shifting in a certain direction. So I was like, okay, something's not right. So I started telling the coworkers that, I was closest to, the ones that I was, really cool with. I was cool with pretty much the majority of the store, but let's just say about 80% of the store I was really cool with in some way, shape, or form. And I started telling people, something's off here. I think y'all need to start getting your resumes together. Something's about to go down. So I started job searching, and I got a new job working at Converse. And I kid you not, the last day that I worked at the NBA store, it was announced that that store would be closing. So sometimes things are going on. You just got to pay attention to things. So that's just a prime example of kind of how corporate America is, business, things of that nature. Is there NBA store still on Fifth Avenue? Yes, it's much smaller. It's a few blocks down. It's like 2 floors, but it's really condensed. I've been inside of that store. I went I think in 2015. I think that was the last time I was there because NBA All-Star Weekend was in New York City that year. And I bought this hoodie that I still have to this day. I did buy some shirts, but, shirts fade off. Anyway, now back to this whole Workaholics thing. Now, the story of these 2 characters, I really, really hope I did a solid job of telling it from a perspective of where these characters are in their lives. And to really remember that your obituary really won't say where you worked, what home you owned, the car you drove, how much money you made. It's really about relationships and impact that you have on others. And I think that's the biggest part of life. And yes, you want to work in corporate America. Yes, you want to be happy and it's got to work for you. But if it doesn't, you want to go find what you're great at, start your own business, things of that nature, and figure it out from there. Now, with Workaholics, it's a blue book cover with some corporate America buildings. And I have, what price will you pay for success? So, something that I wanted to throw in there. Now, here's the chapter layout. So there's Gerald's story and there's Jenny's story. So here's Gerald's story. It's empty house, career over family, missed moments, divorce papers, work is life, promises not kept, family divide, court and custody, a new life, and was it worth it? And then as things progress, we delve into Jenny's story. Her chapter layout is lost relationships, regret and sorrow, my truth, corporate America ladder, on-call / late night meetings, toxic work environments, the lies we're told, healing and therapy, repairing what's lost, and legacy and obituaries. So that is the breakdown of that. I'm going to read the first chapter of Gerald's story, and then I'm going to read the first chapter of Jenny's story, just to give you guys a little heads up on what's to come of this book. And then you guys can go check out this book because it would be great. All right. So Gerald's story, first chapter, empty house. After a long day at work, 14 hours to be exact, I pulled into my driveway and noticed my house being dark. I didn't think anything of it. I figured my wife took the kids out. Sometimes she takes them out for dinner and I meet them later. There are times where she will call to let me know. Other times she drops me a text, but I didn't get either. This was one of those nights where I had a work dinner. Meeting clients and building relationships in the technology business is crucial. Upon opening the garage and pulling my car in, I thought nothing much. I walk into the garage of my house to complete silence. I turn on the lights, go check the mail on the kitchen island. I figured they would return home soon and I'd spend some time with my family before I shower and get some sleep. But something seemed amiss, and I walked upstairs into my bedroom. Upon walking in and turning on the lights, the walk-in closet was wide open, and it never is. In my mind, I was starting to think the worst, and I noticed my wife's clothes and shoes were all gone. I sprinted into each of my children's bedrooms to sheets off the bed and clothes all gone from their closets. Confused as it gets, I walked back to my bedroom and saw a note on the side of my nightstand. My stomach started churning, and all of a sudden my steak dinner was causing heartburn and indigestion in my chest. I knew what the note was going to say, but I had to read it for clarity. Also, to make sure nothing else was said that I didn't already know. The basis of the note pretty much said what I already knew. I work too much, I don't spend time with the kids, and a myriad of other things that I won't delve into. Here I was in this $1 million home, 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. I worked my whole life to get to where I am, and my family is no longer here. For a moment, I started to call my wife of 15 years, but I knew she wouldn't answer. So I sat on the carpeted floor with my hands buried in my face in my bedroom. I stood up, looked in the mirror of my bedroom dresser, and knew I was in big trouble. My stomach began to feel worse because I knew in the coming weeks something else was coming. Divorce papers. Some nights I'd come home, the house would be empty for just a little while. Then I'd hear my kids' voices coming through the garage door, and I'd be just fine. Tonight and going forward, that was no longer going to happen. That's when reality set in, and I surely didn't know what to do. You go from leaving your house at 7 a.m. to walking in at 10 p.m. with no one here. You have a great day at the office, potentially adding a new client to losing your family. The roller coaster ride of emotions that you go through in life, especially when you take the woman you love dearly for granted. You go from having it all to not having the most important component in your life. It's when I walked in the bathroom and all of my dinner came up through my esophagus, on the floor with my face hanging over the toilet of my bedroom, as tears streamed down my face for the first time since I lost my father over a decade ago. Everything I did was for them. My family was my purpose and drive. Now I have no one but myself, confined to my thoughts of what was and what will be in the near future. So, that's the start of Gerald's story. Now I have to find the start of Jenny's story. So give me a moment, because I'm actually holding the book in my hand. Because that's what I do. I read from the actual book. All right, so here's Jenny's story. Lost relationships. There's a sadness I feel in my heart. I've lost so many relationships in the past few years. It's mostly been friendships, and it's because of my career. The road to making it to the top of corporate America has always been the goal. I've watched so many family members work tirelessly in the work world. It's become my staple, and I'm trying to prove to so many that I made it in life. My friends have moved on with their lives as they found love, along with getting married, having kids, and going on great vacations. I lost friendships because I missed birthdays and baby showers. What my friends didn't understand was my drive to be ridiculously successful. They didn't understand why I worked so much, why I wasn't able to find a personal life for myself as a grown adult. When I was young, I was able to get by with losing relationships and bonds, until I no longer had friends to lose and I was alone, confined to my thoughts. When I struggled with things in my life, I had no one to call or talk to. I stopped talking to my family years ago, and it was for plenty of reasons. It surely wasn't because of my career, but for plenty of other things. It's a story that I will surely delve into as this story progresses. My lost relationships with those I cared for have hurt me more now than ever before, as I pen my story of love, loss, and trying to live life on my own terms. I've let potentially good relationship partners go because of my work life. They didn't understand how dedicated I was to my financial aspirations. Men who would tell me they understand my grind of working long hours, only to realize and find out I work longer hours than them and they had fulfilling careers. Happy hours, dinners, walks on the beach, bike rides, fun adventures. It didn't interest me enough. I felt it would hinder my aspirations to be the director of operations at my company. I was willing to sacrifice those moments at that time. Now I look at profiles on Facebook and Instagram and see joy and happiness in my former friends' eyes. That's where the regret and sorrow start to kick in intensely. If I only knew what I know now, my life would be totally different. So that's the start of Jenny's story. So, my book is available everywhere except Amazon. You guys know. And I'm also on Gumroad now. All of my ebooks are also on Gumroad. So if you want to kind of contribute a little bit more, get a little bit more of a personal experience, you can go on Gumroad. My website is aquarianmindbooks, all one word, .gumroad.com. You'll find all my books there, even this Workaholics book, part of all the standalones that I have. I have 11 standalones, 7 book series. And the blog is also on my website, aquarianmindwrites.com. And my books are all over the place. Barnes & Nobles, Kobo, Scribed, Smashwords, Tolino, and all the other smaller stores like BorrowBox. You can find that there. You can go on my website and find my books there. And my paperbacks are available on the book patch. I will leave links in the description so then you can just copy and paste or click them and go from there. My podcast website is up, back, and running in its entirety. It's the aquarianmindpodcast.com. I'm doing a lot of work on the website right now. It looks pretty good. It's coming along. Just working on a couple of small little things. I made a couple of tweaks. Hopefully you guys like it. Check it out, all that good stuff. And then that's where you can pretty much find every single episode and the breakdown of all of my books, standalones, Mondays with Mellow, Wednesday Motivation Inspiration, Book Insight Friday, all of that lovely stuff. So that's my podcast for today. I thank you for listening. As always, be good and go accomplish your goals.